Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. James here again, and I hope 2019 has started off correctly for you. Today I'm here to talk to you about our plans for a Witcher read-along, and by our plans I mean myself and Celise from the Book Armada. I gestured like she's sitting here fucking next to me off camera, but she's not. Right, so we're doing a Witcher read-along. You, if you're a discerning viewer of BookTube, might have already stumbled upon a Witcher read-along this year run by Elliot Brooks. And yes, I will acknowledge that she's doing one, but we were planning this before she announced hers, so it seemed bad to scrap our plans. Why should we? Ours is a bit different anyway, so let me tell you all about it. So, me and Celise from the Book Armada, go check her channel out, links below. We're going to be doing a Witcher read-along. It's going to be between now and... how many books is there in this? 8. So it'll be between now and August of this year. We're going to be doing the read-along. 1 book a month. And after each book, we're going to be doing a live show, basically, Celise and I. The live show will be on the first Saturday of each month, starting in February, and it's going to be starting at 11 Eastern Standard Time, which is like 4 p.m. UK time, I think. My maths is not great. My knowledge of time zones is even worse. So it could be at any time UK time, but it's 11 Eastern Standard Time, so just have that in mind. Now, what separates our Witcher read-along from other Witcher read-alongs is we're doing a different reading order. The Witcher is one of those series that people have a lot of questions about the reading order for. There are videos out there that discuss the proper reading order for The Witcher, but I created a different reading order that is based somewhat on the UK release dates for the English translations, because they did come out slightly out of order here for the UK reader, but I think it actually adds something to the story. So I'm going to just go through the running order for you now and then explain why. Right, so we're going to start off with The Last Wish. This is the first short story collection. It's the introduction to the entire franchise. Pretty much required reading if you're going to get into the story. So that's first on the list. Then we start to deviate. There is another short story collection that was written as the next book in the series, basically. But you can read it at any point, really. So we decided to skip straight to Blood of Elves, which is the first book in the 5-book main series saga. So that's the next one. We're going straight from the first short story collection to the first novel. Then we're doing the sequel, the second book in the saga, Time of Contempt. It's just, that's obvious, it's the second book in the series. And then we divert again and we start to read Season of Storms, which is a side-quel kind of novel that takes place chronologically. It takes place in between some of the stories in this, so it's like sandwiched in the middle of this somewhere. But it is, as I say, a side-quel. It was released like last year in the UK in English. It was only released in like 2013, I think, in the original Polish. So it's long after the main series finishes, and doesn't really have any impact on the main saga at all. So basically, we're just going to read it here at the midpoint. Next, Baptism of Fire, which is the 3rd book in the 5-book saga. And then Tower of Swallows, which is book 4 in the saga. Then we go for our final diversion back to Sword of Destiny, which is the 2nd short story collection. And then we finish where it always needs to end, The Lady of the Lake, which is the 5th and final book in the main saga. So, why are we diverting? Why are we doing it this way? So, One of the things that people complain about a lot when they are reading the Witcher saga is that there's not a lot of witchering happening, because the premise of the Witcher saga, if you don't know, is about this monster hunter called Geralt of Rivia, who is like born and raised to fight monsters. He's a mutant. He's been given all this special training to hunt monsters. And there's not a lot of that happens throughout the entire series. It's not really a spoiler. It just is part of the premise. But the short story collections do follow him doing some witchery work. So I thought it was kind of nice to have that spread out a little bit more throughout the series. And I also think that in terms of the saga itself, it kind of splits nicely into a 3-act kind of structure. I'm just reorganising the books as I talk because I'm a disorganised slob. Right, so they kind of split well into the 3-act structure in terms of it being a 5-part series. Some of the book, I'll explain in a second once I've got the books sorted out. So, the books in the main saga: Blood of Elves, Time of Contempt. This is basically Act 1 in a typical fantasy story. If you put these two books together like that and said that's book 1 of a trilogy, that would work pretty damn well. It has all of the beats. You'll realise it when you read it. These two similarly work as kind of an Act 2. They have very similar styles and themes going on that are kind of separate from in the first two. So that's why we're separating them by this. So it's going to go these two separated by this. So this is like your break point. It's kind of a breath of fresh air and a palate cleanser between the two parts, like the 2 acts. It works as a little break to have as an act break. And then similarly, Sword of Destiny, whilst the short stories are very good, there is only 2 of them that are really relevant to the overall saga. And I found when I was reading it the first time through, this came out after Tower of Swallow, and I found that I wasn't really missing this information going through it. It didn't lead to any confusion for me going through it the first time as to what was going on, but when I went to it, it recontextualized all of the characters, and it really added these new elements to it, and I think it really sort of reintroduces some characters that don't interact so much in the later half of the series, and it sort of gets you reinvested in the climax. Lady of the Lake obviously is the end book, so it has to be at the end, and it works brilliantly as a climax to a series, which is kind of why I didn't want to read Season of Storms after it, because I think this works so well as a final point that reading Season of Storms after it kind of taints the series in my personal opinion. So my preference is to read it somewhere in the middle. And obviously The Last Wish introduces you to all of the characters and the world and everything. So you do kind of need to read that first. So if you're not a fan of short stories, I'm really sorry, but there is one, at least one, that is required reading. So there you go. That's it. We're very excited to be doing this. I think it's the first time for both of us. None of us have done live shows or read-alongs or anything really like that before. So I'm excited for it. Yeah, it's going to be good. I think it's going to be good. This reading order malarkey, I have a feeling it might put some people off. If you're doing a reread of the series, you'll probably won't have any issues with it whatsoever. I think you'll really enjoy this reading order. I personally really enjoy reading the series this way. And if you're a newbie, I think you'll be fine as well. Don't be put off. If you want to read it the way we're reading it, That's brilliant. I think you'll get everything out of it that you need to get out of it as a first-time reader, and it will hopefully like mitigate some of the criticisms that are kind of justified in like the proper reading order. If you do not want to read it in the reading order we're doing, obviously I encourage you to read it anyway. But if you want to follow Elliot Brooks's read along with for the structure, that's absolutely fine. Do that. Take part in her read along. Great news. Everyone's supporting each other here. But I do encourage you also just to, like, we're going to put the live shows up for, like, on demand. We're going to upload them afterwards. So don't worry about missing out. If you read it in a different order to we do, just come back. Once you've read the books that we're talking about, just come back to it. Because like we're gonna do the Blood of Elves live show will be happening when Elliot does her Sword of Destiny month, basically, because that's sort of how it worked out. So I'm just waffling on now. So that's it. Witcher Read Along 2019. Me and Celise from Book Armada. It's going to be really good. You should watch it, and you should read The Witcher before Netflix ruins it forever. I don't know if they're going to ruin it forever, but they probably will, because have you seen the fucking state of that cheap Henry Cavill wig? I need to stop, because I'm going to get heated. So, thanks for watching the video. Subscribe to the channel for all the Witcher read-along-y content and other stuff that I've got happening in 2019. And that's it for now. I'll see you in another video. Bye. That was really awkward. Bye.